Writers summarize, paraphrase, and quote published authors and experts to provide examples, to support claims, and to add credibility to their own writing. As the Purdue Owl explains, summarizing involves putting the main idea or ideas into your own words. Summaries are significantly shorter than the original and take a broad overview of the source material. Anytime you take ideas from another source, it is necessary to give credit to that source for the summarized ideas. Let's take a look at an example from the Purdue Owl. Pause the video as you need to as you read the entire article. Here is the article in its entirety, and here is a summary. Roger Seifer makes his case for getting rid of compulsory attendance laws in primary and secondary schools with 6 arguments. These fall into 3 groups. First, that education is for those who want to learn, and by including those that don't want to learn, everyone suffers. Second, that grades would be reflective of effort and elementary school teachers wouldn't feel compelled to pass failing students. Third, that schools would both save money and save face with the elimination of compulsory attendance laws. While the full article is 675 words, the summary highlights the article's main points in only 80 words. Notice that the summary gives credit to the article's author. As the Purdue Owl explains, paraphrasing involves putting a passage from source material into your own words. To say that differently, when you paraphrase, you take a section of the source and change the words without changing the ideas or leaving out any details. The Owl goes on to say that paraphrased material is usually shorter than the original passage. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Typically, though, paraphrasing involves taking a somewhat broader segment of the source and condensing it slightly. As with any time you take ideas from another source, a paraphrase must be attributed to the original source. Let's take a closer look at the conclusion of our example source. Schools should be for education. At present, they are only tangentially so. They have attempted to serve an all-encompassing social function, trying to be all things to all people. In the process, they have failed miserably at what they were originally formed to accomplish. Now, let's look at a paraphrase of the essay's conclusion. Roger Seifer concludes his essay by insisting that schools have failed to fulfill their primary duty of education because they try to fill multiple social functions. The paraphrase is shorter than the source, but its essence is the same. The source says schools should be for education. The paraphrase says schools' primary duty is education. The source claims schools have failed miserably because they have attempted to serve an all-encompassing social function. The paraphrase points out that schools have failed because they try to fill multiple social functions. The words are different, but the meaning is the same. Notice that the paraphrase gives credit to Roger Seifer, the source's author, and it identifies which part of his article has been paraphrased. As the Purdue Owl explains, quotations must be identical to the original unless you correctly identify that words from a quote have been changed or deleted. We'll talk about altering quotations in a bit. Quotations are from a narrow segment of the source. This means that typically only a small piece of the source should be quoted. Of course, quotations must be attributed to the original author. Let's see an example of a writer using a quotation. The source claims that a decline in standardized test scores is but the most recent indicator that American education is in trouble. The solution to this problem is simple. Abolish compulsory attendance laws and allow only those who are committed to getting an education to attend. When quoting the source, a writer says, according to Roger Seifer, a solution to the perceived crisis of American education is to abolish compulsory attendance laws and allow only those who are committed to getting an education to attend. Notice that the writer does not simply say, Roger Seifer states, the solution to this problem is simple. Abolish compulsory attendance laws and allow only those who are committed to getting an education to attend. Instead, the writer gives credit to Roger Seifer, the author of the claim, and then paraphrases his claim that American education is in trouble by saying perceived crisis of American education. Then, the writer attaches a direct quote from the source's third paragraph into the writer's own sentence and identifies where in the source the quote is found. The sentence as a whole reads as a complete, grammatically correct sentence. This is called quote blending. Quote blending is using direct words from a source along with the writer's own words. The blended sentence is 38 words, but the direct quote is only 16 of those words. Compare that to the sentence that is not blended. The sentence is 26 words, and the direct quote is 23 of those words. Good writers do not use direct quotes to write sentences for them. To effectively blend a quote into his or her own sentence, a writer can delete words from the quote by adding an ellipses. Here is paragraph 8 from the source. Ask high school teachers if recalcitrant students learn anything of value. Ask teachers if these students do any homework. Quite the contrary, these students know they will be passed from grade to grade until they are old enough to quit or until, as is more likely, they receive a high school diploma. At the point when students could legally quit, most choose to remain since they know they are likely to be allowed to graduate, whether they do acceptable work or not. Here, the writer blends part of paragraph 8 into the writer's own sentence. Seifer argues that because recalcitrant students know they will be passed from grade to grade until they receive a high school diploma without learning anything valuable, they have no incentive to work. The writer acknowledges the source's author and identifies which part of his article the quote came from. The two ellipses indicate that words have been omitted. This sentence is an effective blending of a quote and the writer's own words. The entire sentence is 32 words. The quote is only 18 of those words. The quoted words enhance the writer's sentence rather than dominating it. To effectively blend a quote into his or her own sentence, a writer can also add or change a word by including brackets. A writer will add or change a word so that the sentence as a whole is grammatically correct. Here are paragraphs 8 through 11 from the source. Here, the writer blends part of paragraph 8 and part of paragraph 11 into the writer's own words. Seifer suggests that hard-working, motivated students are brought down by recalcitrant students who know they will be passed from grade to grade until they receive a high school diploma without learning anything valuable. But if mandatory attendance laws were abolished, students who do not meet academic and behavioral standards would not be able to pollute the educational atmosphere for those who want to learn. The writer acknowledges the source's author and identifies which parts of his article the quotes came from. The ellipses indicates that words have been omitted, and the brackets indicate that the word who has been added. The word who makes the sentence grammatically correct. This sentence is an effective blending of quotes and the writer's own words. The entire sentence is 66 words. The quotes are only 33 of those words. The quoted words enhance the writer's sentence rather than dominating it.